Hi, my name is Cher. Welcome to the Lathe and Loom podcast. This is episode 9, and it is February the 5th of 2022. It's been a little while. I did not podcast at all in January, so I hope you'll pardon my absence. The month just flew by, but I've been working on my knitting projects furiously, trying to get some things off the needles. So I just wanted to pop in today, just pretty quick episode to give you a brief update on a couple of my knitting projects. And we have the 50 subscriber giveaway winner. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the spinning that I've been doing, in particular, something that I've discovered as I changed some draw techniques as I was spinning some yarn up. So I thought that was really interesting. It might be interesting to share as well. So we'll get started. I'll talk about, I don't have any, well, I do have a finished object, but it's currently blocking. So I'm going to hold that for the next podcast. That is my Shawlography. I'll put the pre-blocked photos in here so you can kind of get a glimpse. I'm super happy with how it turned out. I think it was a fabulous experience. The tutorials were just wonderful. I learned a lot of new techniques. I would totally do it again. It was definitely worth it. And after I got over my little brioche mistake, which thankfully had a lifeline in, so it was quite easy to go in and take it out and pick it back up, and then it was really it was not an issue. I'm super happy that I have learned that technique as well. So really appreciative to Stephen West and his generosity in putting those together every year. And I will endeavor to have fewer whips in progress for October so that I can participate without a lot of distractions. So that was really fun. And then the other big project that I've been working on to finish. So as you may remember, I had 3 big projects. I had Shawlography, Heart of Glass tee that is now turned into the Heart of Glass sweater, and my Comfort Fade Cardi. So with Shawlography off the needles, I've been really focusing on my Heart of Glass tee, which originally was going to be a summer tee, you might remember. And obviously coming so late in the year, I decided to keep going and add sleeves so that I could wear it in the winter, which hopefully now I will have off the needles in time. And it's a fairly lightweight, so I ought to be able to wear it a good portion of the year since it is sock weight yarn. So this is in my bag by Heart Ewe, which it's one of my favorite bags. And I am on the second sleeve. So again, I'll put a progress photo in here with sleeve 1 done, but here is where I'm at. I'm really, really happy with the fit. It fits very well. The sleeve, so here's sleeve 1. I opted to, well, I did make the arm side a little bit large. This is an ongoing theme with my sweater projects, so I'm going to have to really focus on that. As 2022, I sort of have a goal of really focusing on garment knitting. So I'm going to really try to do some tutorials and really pay attention to how things fit. But this is a very good fit otherwise, and it was not a problem, because it's a sweater. But I did so the body does have this beautiful lace pattern, which is not going to show up particularly well unblocked, but maybe you can see a little bit there. And the sleeve is actually should have been a 3/4 length with a which is I think a 1x1 rib, maybe in the pattern. I actually liked that lace so much, and I enjoyed knitting it so much that I added it to the bottom of the sleeve as well. So I think it's turned out really nicely. So far the other one appears to be matching. I took good notes. So I'm really anxious. I'm hoping I'll get that off the needles. Matter of fact, I really debated whether to hold off and see if I could get it done before I podcast, but it's been so long I thought I'd go ahead and to get this episode up and published, and we'll follow up with that. This reminds me, so I did want to share this little tube thing. So this is a Christmas gift. My husband and son and daughter kind of go in and do a nice little roundup of gifts, and then maybe if I have time at the end, I will give you a brief, show you some of the yarn things that I got. But this was in there. This is by Knit Picks, and it's a needle minder, needle keeper, and your circulars slip in. Well, of course, on camera, not so easy. Slip in like that. And I've tried a bunch of things for that. I've tried some little plastic tubes that were kind of hard to get in and off. I've tried putting a stitch minder or, light bulb stitch marker through the holes on when I have that on there. But these are brilliant. I love this. I have now gotten several others. They could come in a pack of 3, really quite reasonable. So if you've ever, and I have accidentally ripped out my my circular needles, especially those small ones, it's really a great tool to add to your toolkit. Funny story about that as I'm thinking about it. I had finished off the body and tied a bow where I was going to weave in the ends on the bottom of the lace panel. And I'd gone on to knit the first sleeve. I'm knitting along and looking at the sleeve, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, where did that thread come from? My little bow had come undone, and I had lost, it had dropped stitches several rows down, but it just in one part of one lace section, one part of the other lace section. But I was like, okay, look, I can do this. So I saved what I could, and then I just tried really hard to read the knitting, and it actually is on kind of the front left, but I can't tell now. It's about this area here, but I was really proud that I could read the knitting. I mean, it's not a simple, it's not a terribly difficult pattern, I don't think, but I think it's a good lesson in, I think lace is like brioche and some other things that I think as a beginning knitter seems like it should be very, very complicated, but it's actually not. And chart reading, while also sounding daunting, I actually now love. I find it much easier than reading the pattern. So if you haven't tried that, I would encourage you to do that. But it does really help you learn to read your knitting as well, looking at the chart and then looking at your knitting. This is a particularly good pattern. This is again, the Heart of Glass by Mary Aurelia of Lyrical Knits. She has a number of beautiful patterns. It's extremely well written. It's got very good instruction for fit, and some other elements. And I think it's probably a really good first garment kind of pattern if you're looking to do something like that, because it's just very well written. So that is on the needles. I have not focused on my Comfort Fade Cardi. I'm going to get this one done, and then I'm going to focus on that, and then I have a number of projects queued up for what I'm loosely planning for 2022. As you know, this is my leisure passion, and I can't really get to the point where I'm going to schedule out or plan a 9 block or something, but I do have some loose goals of kind of things that I want to do, and if they change, they change. That's sort of just how I roll with my knitting projects and my fiber projects. The only other thing I've kind of worked on a fair amount is, you may remember I frogged my Knit Knook socks, but I love the yarn. This is also by Sheep Dip Dye Work, which is the dyer that on the Wild Horses yarn that my Heart of Glass tee is that I just showed. So I've put this yarn into just a simple, my plain vanilla sock, Turkish cast on, kind of slightly rounded wedge toe up, shadow wrap heel, and I'm doing a 2x2. I've decided I really like, no, actually I'm doing a 2x2? No, 3x1 ribbed bind off, so there's kind of be like ankle. I'm going to do a really long ribbing so I can fold them down kind of like a ankle sock. So those are coming along. The other one is in a similar state of completion. So I'm about to the ribbing on that one. So they should hopefully be not too long. That's my on-the-go knitting. I find the sweaters are hard to take around. So. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, I've been doing a fair amount of spinning. I'm trying to spin almost every day if I can. I'm trying to work a little bit with learning how to do a support spindle. Most of my spinning's been on my Kromsky Symphony. You've seen some of that in some of my other clips. I had a pack of Devonia scrap ends, I guess. And I've put that together, and it was 4 colors, and I laid it out to do a gradient. So here's some photos of how I laid it out. And what I had intended to do, I split it into half, and then I wanted one single to be very long color gradient, and then other to be short. And so that's kind of how I've laid this out and put it together. I started spinning. My default spin style is long draw, so it produces more or less a woolen, although this was a roving, but a woolen style airy single. Applied that along, and I kind of got done with it, or about halfway through that single, that section, which was the short color, the short pieces of the gradient single. And I thought it's really fuzzy and kind of dull. And I have seen some beautiful, Lynn of MKAL Yarns has done some Devonia, and it's always just beautiful and smooth and shiny. And I thought, okay, this is probably because I'm spinning it long draw and it's got that fuzzy woolen to it. So when I started to do the second single, I started to do I believe it's a short backwards, but I'm a self-taught spinner for the most part, so don't quote my technique. I'm pulling it back and letting the spin come in after I've drafted, so I believe that's short backward. So I tried that, and that single was much smoother, much shinier, and much thinner. So I recorded a clip last week about those 2 singles. So I'm going to insert that here. And then I'll come back in a minute and show you the finished yarn. Hi everyone. I wanted to pop in here before I start applying these singles to just kind of show you a little more about my process with this yarn. So as this is probably past share, you're seeing prior to this the finished yarn hopefully, but I wanted to show what has happened when I changed my spinning technique. So I started with a John Arbon Textiles Devonia, which is 50% Exmoor Blue Face, 30% Devon Blue Face Leicester, and 20% Wensleydale. And so here is and it was 4 different colors. It was a kind of a grab bag. And I wanted to do it as a fractile spin. So I'll pop in a photo here. This was what I intended to have, one ply with very long color runs, and the second ply with these short color runs. So I started with the short color runs, and my default, I just wanted to spin the yarn. I'm really trying to just be consistent about my my spinning this year, and kind of just trying to spin every day 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, which is, I'm really noticing a difference in my spinning technique because of that. But my default is a long draw, and that is how I spun this particular skein. So if you look at the, I should check my spinning. I think this is the grist. This is about as a single, is about 24. Hopefully that's focusing. And plied back on itself is, and this is loosened up quite a bit, but is a pretty fluffy 2-ply, if I'd have done it that way. So that was fine. But what I've also noticed is it's extremely fuzzy. And if you have seen, and of course it's got a lot of variation in that 24, but just approximately, it's big. If you've ever seen anybody spin up Devonia, I always see it as very silky. And so it occurred to me that, of course, pulling it long draw, I'm getting that fuzzier woolen spin. So I'm not a fan of either short forward or short backward. But I thought, okay, I need to figure out how to make this a little bit more shiny and take advantage of the beauty of the wool. And so with the second skein, which was my long color stripes, I did I believe it's short backwards. So I was drafting and then letting the twist in. I'll have to look because I'm not sure if that's forward or backwards. And so you'll notice this bobbin is way thinner. So if I look at the this one again, let me try to find a section that I've not let unwind here. I mean, it's way down here in the 30-40 wraps per inch. So that one's 32. And I've got some, if you can even see that, I've got some really, like, I had to keep going. I've got to figure out how to get this, thicker, but it just spun up extremely thin. And it's beautiful. And you do see, I think, between the two, it's a little smoother and has more luster in it. And I'll put some photos in so you can see that a little more easily. So where I'm at now is I do not believe I can ply these two together because I think it'll end up more of a, they're just not going to apply evenly, right? It would be wrapping probably the smaller on the larger or the larger around the smaller. So I think what I'm going to do is ply each one back and then, spin them back to their original bobbins, and then I'm going to ply each one on itself from a center pull ball because I believe that will probably make a more satisfying yarn. So I'll end up with two different yarns, 50 grams each from that skein, and then that just would not be in the same project probably. So a little bit of a shame, but a really interesting, it's just yarn, right? It's not the end of the world. And I've even thought about whether I need to try to figure, I may split this thinner one out onto itself, because this is 3 skeins of it kind of wrapped. I may try to put it onto 3 small bobbins and do a 3-ply just to sort of see how that looks. I think that might be actually really, really pretty yarn. So just interesting how your spinning technique is going to affect your yarn. So I will get to plying, and then you'll see that back on the main podcast video. Thanks so much. So hopefully you can see that is where how I started, and this is how we've ended up. So to see them up close together, you can see that this is the two, it's not great lighting, I'm sorry, I hope I can get that in there. The top is the 2-ply because I need to learn to use the camera. Top is the 2-ply woolen, and the bottom is the 3-ply worsted. The 2 and 3-ply came out more or less similar sizes after they've been plied, but you definitely see, and I'm really happy with this gradient. It's too bad that I don't have a whole 100 grams, but really happy with how pretty that barber pulling and spinning is. So this is a nice skein. It's a little inconsistent. I'm happy with it. I think it's a nice DK to worsted weight, maybe. In the clip I probably showed you, I did not bring up my my wraps per inch tool. With a 3-ply, this might be some of the nicest yarn I have ever spun. I am really, really happy with that. I really have to figure out my lighting. I'm sorry, you guys. Bear with me. I will put some close-up photos because I don't think this is coming through well. But it's a really nice weight. It's probably almost, maybe it's sport weight. It's fairly thin. It's got a nice sheen to it, I think. And so it was a really, you hear about worsted worsted spinning, woolen spinning, but it's very interesting to see it on the same fiber. Just how different it spins up. So I thought that might be interesting for you all to hear about. Hopefully it was. Again, here we have our little beauties. So that's the Devonia, and that again is Devonia by John Arbon. I purchased this from the Woolly Thistle. They have like a grab bag, and it's 100 grams of a mix. You don't know what you're going to get, which makes it fun, and it really spun up very, very nicely. 50 subscriber giveaway, which seemed like, so thank you everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate your watching, your sharing, the comments. I love our little community. I think we're just over 70 now. I would love to get to 100. It's sort of my goal by episode 10. So if you would share, if you would like, you can also follow me on Instagram. We are at Lathe and Loom on Instagram, and the hashtag is hashtag Lathe and Loom NC for North Carolina. And I'm on Ravelry. A lot of my projects, when I link below, I'm trying to put everything in Ravelry to have the notes and the yarns and all the details there. And I am Share 5413 on Ravelry. And also we do have an email, latheandloompodcast@gmail.com. So anyway, without further ado, I did the YouTube comment picker, and da-da-da! The winner is the lovely Nikki of the Cat Hair podcast. Knitting with Cat Hair podcast. And I think that's the second time I have misrepresented you on camera, Nikki. I'm so sorry. Anyway, she's lovely. I really enjoy the chatting with a number of the other podcasters that watch, and just really appreciate each and every one of you sharing this journey with me and encouraging me along, and hopefully we'll continue to have fun and grow as a community. And my real passion behind this is to share some of the makers and farmers that support the fiber art. So in the spirit of that, the prize I have for this giveaway is this yarn from Woodsong Farm. If we can get their logo in there. I'll put a close-up as well. This is from Woodsong Farm. This is a family-owned farm in Bassett, Virginia. They are family-loved, non-GMO fed sheep, natural or dyed to organic standards. This is their all-natural from the farm sock yarn. It is 85% fin sheep and 15% mohair. There's 250 yards, 2.6 grams. So this is a natural gray color. Mr. Lathe and Loom bought me a camera for Christmas, and I'm trying to learn to use it. So I hope the video quality will get better and better. Hopefully the sound is good. It's a new microphone as well. And then so this is a full skein. And then as a contrast, I had, I'm doing the same yarn, a pair of socks out of the same yarn. I'm doing them on, I think size 2, because I wanted a really tight weave. I think they're going to hold up really, really well. But I thought the red might be a nice contrast. So I split that skein. So I'm going to have one with toes, red toes and heels, and hopefully Nikki will find something similar and we'll enjoy doing that as well. So not sponsored. I just found them, I think, on Instagram, and I'm really happy with the yarn. They have a really nice selection of yarn and other fiber offerings in their online shop. So they are at Woodsong Farm _ on Instagram. You can find them there, or the website is www.farmingatwoodsong.com. I'll put that below. And I encourage you to check them out. Always really nice to support our small farms that are bring us this. And they have roving and yarn and other products, and really nice items. So more spinning. Carrie of the Woolen Mitten, who I just discovered has a lovely podcast, so I encourage you to check her out, is doing a spin, boy, I should have looked that up. Spin for socks, anyway, spinning for socks, something like that. I'll put it below. And obviously the point of it is to spin up your some fiber into yarn and knit some socks. She had a really clever way of doing, looking at the kind of like, not really a swatch, but sort of looking how the yarns would knit up, and it kind of almost look like a palette sock. If I can find a photo of it, or on her Instagram, I'll put it here. But anyway, I'm going to try that. So I'm in the middle of kind of doing that. But so this is what I have decided to do. And here's what the fiber originally was. Actually, you know what? I have it. Let me run, get it. Okay, sorry about that. So as you recollect from episode maybe 3 and 4, I talked about I am processing a very large Jacob fleece. So I split the fleece into the black, the really dark brown, gray, and white primarily. And I've been spinning up that beautiful black. I had shown you some singles of that, and I've got a bunch more that I've got ready to go. And so this is some of the white. But as I was watching Carrie's podcast, and also Lisa of Soulful Spinner, they were adding alpaca to it, and I think we landed on a 70% wool, 30% alpaca blend. So I'm like, I have all this black alpaca, so I'm going to try that. So I pulled out my little, or a handful of my alpaca. It's a very large bag. I might have a fiber acquisition problem. But anyway, so here's the alpaca. And I never blended different fibers before, so this was sort of an interesting challenge. So the Jacob, here's some of that Jacob flicked and carded, so it's a lot smoother. And I put that into the carder with the alpaca. And the alpaca is much shorter. The Jacob is very long. Some of it's 6 and 7 inches. And so they're different textures, different lengths. And I wasn't sure how that was going to go. The alpaca, I just sort of pluffed it up. As you can see, it's much shorter, and the Jacob is a lot springier. This is just very kind of airy and lofty. And anyway, so I didn't really, it's got some curls in it. I just sort of plupped it up. I put a layer of the Jacob into the drum carder. I have a Brother Deluxe drum carder, a manual. I'm very happy with it if you're looking for one. It's really been a nice drum carder. Put a layer of that in, and I sort of sandwiched a light layer of the Jacob, a light layer of the alpaca, a light layer of the Jacob. And this is one of the batches, and they are, let's see, I did 52 grams of Jacob and 23 grams of the alpaca for 75 grams. So I made 2 bats out of that. So this is 4 passes through the drum carder. It has a good amount of spring to it. You can see that. So I started spinning up a little sample. I haven't really figured out a great sampling technique, but I know that's part of what I need to be doing. So this is my first little 2-ply sample. It's just a small amount here. It's got a little springiness to it, not a ton. Of course, the alpaca would not have that same spring to it. And I've got a second sample on the wheel. I'm going to try a 3-ply. I think I'm finding I really like a 3-ply yarn, and I can't decide certainly it's going to take longer to produce 3-ply yarn. I probably won't always do it, but that's how that Devonia was, and it's so pretty. And I'm thinking maybe I read an article in Spin-Off magazine where they had sampled. I'll try to find the issue number, put it below if I remember. They had sampled a number of hand spun yarns for socks and then wore them, right, to see how they would wear. And I remember they did a 2-ply, a 3-ply, different blends, Navajo spun, traditional ply, to see kind of which ones wore. And my recollection is the 3-ply was a little bit sturdier, although I kind of like the cush of the 2-ply because I like the woolen, so I'm not sure which one we're going to go with. That's why I'm going to try knitting up some samples to see. So while I'm going to do that, I have a bit of, this is some 2-ply I did on my support spindle. It's my first little bit of support spindle spun yarn. And then the green is, you probably saw that one on Instagram. That was some commercial roving I had that I did a woolen 2-ply spin. I really just had fun. That was what I did after Christmas to just make myself spin every day, just 15 or 20 minutes. It's really quite relaxing, and I find kind of once I get into a rhythm, I can get a lot done, and really enjoyed that. So I'm going to see how those knit up. That blue, unfortunately, bleeds a lot still. The green was clear, but the blue I don't think I would put with that natural in a sock, just for fear that it would color it. So I think that's all that I have for today. Maybe I'll do a quick few acquisitions and then we'll close out. Before I get to the acquisition, this is the larger skein. So that little green ball that I had was the my 2 bobbins were not even, so I did a Navajo ply. Navajo ply on that green. So this is, I don't have what it is. Purchased green roving. So I got it. I know where I got it. I would probably recognize it. I got it at the Raleigh, the North Carolina Fiber Festival, which is coming up in March. If you're in the North Carolina area, you can look them up online. I think it's March 11th and 12th in Raleigh at the fairgrounds. So I'm really looking forward to that. Can't wait. Anyway, but back to acquisitions. I'm sorry, I'm a little all over the place today. You can tell I haven't podcasted in a while. So these are a few of the items were in my Christmas stocking from my family. So this first one is Emma's Yarn, super silky. colorway is Plant Lady. This is a 80% superwash merino, 20% silk. It's just gorgeous. Really excited about this one. I've never tried Bichet Bouche yarn. This is their dark gray. And this is the Petite Lamb's Wool. 100% lamb's wool from Scotland, family-owned farm. It's delightfully sheepy, delightfully sheepy. And let's see, this is also one I haven't tried before. It's merino fingering from Ching Fiber. My daughter has requested that this come back to her as socks. And this is hand-dyed in London, and the colorway, does it have a colorway? I think it's called Plum. I would not have guessed, but it sort of looks like confetti to me. Yeah, option Plum. 100% superwash merino. And then, if you may remember, my Wild Bees socks and the Even Star shawl that's on timeout. It's just I have not worked on it in a while. But anyway, those yarns are produced by Rich Hill Yarns in Richmond, Virginia. You can get this exclusively at Dances with Wool. I'll put their information below. The green, all of this line of yarn is named after Richmond, Virginia landmarks. So this is Maymont Park. We lived in Virginia and Richmond for a while, so nice home thing. And this one is Bryan Park. The lace weight I'm using for the Even Star shawl is Nickel Bridge, and the gold that I used for the Wild Bee socks was the Jefferson colorway, I believe. These are 75-25 superwash merino nylon. Really, really, really lovely yarn. So that's just a few acquisitions. I really appreciate your support again. I would love it if you leave a comment below. Not only does it help people find my channel, which I would love, but I really do enjoy reading every comment. I try to reply to everyone, and I really like to hear what you're up to and what you liked in the podcast, what you'd like to see more of, and anything else you want to chat about. I would love it. You can also find me on Instagram, as I noted earlier. So thanks so much for joining me. Happy knitting, spinning, dyeing, and weaving. Bye-bye.